If you need any more motivation to become an AI engineer, this video is for you. AI engineers in the US are clearing $900 an hour at PromptQL, and this is a developer tooling company in San Francisco. To put that into perspective, if you work 40 hours a week, which is conservative for San Francisco, you take 7 weeks of vacation, you're still looking at $1.6 million a year. And this isn't just in the US. Salaries in Europe are also reaching upwards of $300,000 for leading AI companies. Why is this role so massively underpaid? How are these companies willing to spend so much money on this role? Well, I've analyzed this subject and I boiled it down to 3 main factors, which I'll go through in this video. And make sure to watch until the end because we're going to talk about how you can reach this elite level of salary status yourself. Okay, so the first point is companies just really need AI engineers. Now, Google Cloud put out this report on GenAI and business performance, and there's some pretty interesting insights here. So first of all, 84% of organizations successfully transform a GenAI use case idea into production within 6 months. So successful GenAI implementation is very quick. Also, 74% of organizations are currently seeing return on investment from their GenAI investments. And most companies using GenAI in production are seeing revenue growth. So, what does all this mean? GenAI investing is very lucrative to a business and it's quite quick to implement. That means that companies are rushing to get this stuff implemented now so that they can enjoy this lucrative investment earlier, right? In this way, hiring an expensive consultant at $900 an hour might actually save the company money. The second reason is there's a huge talent shortage for skilled AI workers. So here's another report which states that companies of all scales are rapidly adopting GenAI because it achieves an average return of 3.7 times for every dollar invested. Despite this, 68% of companies face a moderate to extreme AI talent shortage. By 2027, there will likely be 700,000 AI job shortage. And the industries where this is hurting the most is fintech, healthcare, and manufacturing. Now, these industries, especially fintech and healthcare, are known to pay extremely well. On this channel, I'll talk a lot about specializing yourself in a niche, like I did with real estate. That's pretty much how I was able to break into AI engineering as a real estate agent without a degree. And today I'm a senior AI engineer. So one of the best pieces of advice I could give you is to pick a niche or an industry and niche yourself down. And that doesn't mean you need a degree related to this niche. You don't need to be a doctor to become a healthcare AI engineer. You just need to be aware of what's happening in the industry. So read news related to healthcare technology or new healthcare policies, etc. Do an open source project that's maybe, some AI healthcare agent and put that in your resume. Maybe get some certifications. All this stuff will just help you to stand out in the interview process so much more compared to all the other developers out there. Because let's face it, there are so many developers out there that are more skilled than you and I, but there's a real need right now from companies for engineers that understand complex business topics. You see this with the rise of the forward deployed engineer or the product engineer, and I think this is going to be the future of engineering itself. It's going to be a much more business-facing role. So if you're able to show that you can understand business requirements and translate those into technological implementations that can save or generate money, that will set you apart more than how many commits you have on GitHub or how many lead codes you can solve. Here again, the AI engineer shortage leads to delayed projects, missed deadlines, and reduced productivity. So basically, the third key factor to this is the speed at which businesses need to implement AI solutions, because it's just so lucrative and new stuff is coming out all the time. And to this point, because there's new models coming out every quarter, new innovative solutions being dropped left and right, formal education is not able to keep up with this because it's always going to be lagging behind. And that's a big reason to why there's such a shortage, right? So the demand of AI is only going to go up and education is always going to be lagging behind. So this industry needs AI engineers who are able to self-teach, who can follow what's happening, and use the latest tools as they are available. This may sound very trivial, like every developer does this, but I can assure you they don't. Most developers, they do the 9 to 5 and then they go home and then they log into old school RuneScape, you know? And if you want to get your first AI engineer job, you're going to go home for your 9 to 5 if you're already working, and then you got to clock in some hours about learning, RAG. You got to learn about vector databases. You got to learn about the new breakthrough technologies that are being dropped left and right. And then once you get your first job as an AI engineer, then you can leave the office at 5 p.m. and then you can log on to old school RuneScape and chop U-logs in Edgewater. Some more interesting data is 62% organizations report difficulties in sourcing machine learning engineers. Also product owners. So as you can see, there's a real need for not only the technological part of AI implementation, but also the business part. So if you're someone that can handle both of those very well, like me, then you'll be very attractive in this job market. And on the lower side of this demand is general software developers. So if you're a software developer right now, then one of the ways you can bump yourself up and give you more job security, more demand in this harsh job market is by learning AI skills. Maybe following a course on RAG or LangChain like the one I've made. Familiarize yourself with vector databases, how transformers work, that sort of thing. So 85% of tech executives have postponed important AI projects due to an AI engineer shortage. 85% of tech executives is quite a big number. And that's a lot of important AI projects that are lagging behind because they can't find the right engineers. What does that do? Well, salaries go up so they can get more AI engineer talents because it's still cheaper than postponing these projects, right? Also, the demand for AI jobs has increased by 20%, while degree requirements have decreased by 15%. So I think what's happening right now, it's a bit similar to what happened in like 2021 after the hiring craze for software developers, where there was so much VC money and it was all being spent left and right on anyone that could code, which meant you could enter the industry without a degree rather easily. I think something similar is happening right now, not to the same degree, but the demand for this position is definitely higher and the degree requirements are considerably lower. So just in 2024, the average wage premium for workers with AI skills was 56%. Now, if you compare that with a normal software developer, they already make insane salaries. But if you slap 56% on top of that, you're looking at quite a big increase, my friend. So if you want to pick a niche, then I could only recommend fintech, that report a 35% point gap between the demand for AI-related skills and the talent supply. I mean, these people are in the business of making money, so it makes sense that they'll throw more money at the problem. But also the healthcare sector, where 75% of companies admit they don't have the capabilities needed to use Gen AI efficiently. Two very good industries to niche yourself down in. Also, there's a huge bidding war for AI engineers from big tech. So we have Google and Meta competing aggressively with base salaries up to $340,000 with equity worth tens to hundreds of millions, which is insane. That means that for other companies where they literally can't find AI engineers as they're being scooped up with more richer companies, hiring these expensive consultants is sort of like a band-aid solution to a hopefully temporary problem. And that's why these people can make $900 an hour. The idea is probably that they'll be there until the company can recruit, full-time employees, whenever that will be. Also, AI plus cybersecurity is something that's surging, which makes sense. The rise of AI directly affects the demand for cybersecurity. They're kind of interlinked in that way. So if you can demonstrate domain knowledge across both of these, then that would be excellent. So maybe take a certification in cybersecurity. That's a good way for you to stand out. Okay, so that's the reason behind these salaries. So businesses need AI because it's such a positive investment. They need it right now because the Gen AI investments pay off within 6 months. And thirdly, there's a huge talent shortage. If you want to optimize for these high salaries, what do you need to do basically? Well, the data shows that you should move beyond, general AI engineering and kind of niche yourself down in one of these high ROI niches like healthcare or fintech, right? Now, at this seniority level, you are expected to know a lot of things like MLOps, LLM frameworks, LangChain, LangGraph, but also being able to implement your own agent from scratch. transformer architecture, also other machine learning frameworks, TensorFlow, PyTorch. Probably some experience of training and deploying your own models at scale is needed as well. And when it comes to degrees, I mean, you can certainly become an AI engineer without the degree. I'm the example of that. But degrees do advance you more quickly to the next tier, it seems. So a master's can bump you up. A PhD will definitely bump you up. But what I've noticed, a lot of companies are kind of complaining about, especially PhD graduates in machine learning and AI, is they're very good at the conceptual AI stuff. They usually lack the software engineering skills. So just make sure you still have the coding fundamentals down. And also, if you really want to maximize money, I mean, try to get into a hedge fund as an engineer. These people like print money basically, and they have a lot of money to throw at the problem. Total comp here often exceeds $1 million annually. So it's pretty insane. And if you want to start building your AI engineer portfolio, I made a video about this open source AI hedge fund project I found on GitHub, which I think is a great first project for a beginner. So definitely check that out. And lastly, as we've seen, there's a huge demand for AI engineers to sort of understand the business side of things. Because AI implementation is so interlinked to ROI and the saving and generating money for these businesses, that's why they're throwing so much money at it in the first place. That's why you need to show that you understand the business side of things. You're not just someone who's like there because they love to code and all that. You need to actually be passionate about the problems you're solving. So try to prove in your previous experiences how you identified business problems and how your AI or your data or your software solutions helped generate or save money for these companies. The better you're able to explain that, the more favorable you will be in this job market. So as you can see, the AI engineer role is in quite high demand right now. Learning AI engineering is one of the best things you can do right now for your career progression. And right now is the perfect time to do so. So if you're interested in this, I made a bunch of videos that help people become AI engineers just like I did. So I made a playlist with all those videos which you can check out here. Thank you so much for watching, and I'll see you later.